Hi, my name is Sarah Van Fleet. I'm a cultural anthropologist. I work at the University of Washington in Seattle. But welcome to my garden here on Vashon Island, which is just a 15-minute ferry ride from West Seattle. I'd like to invite you to come and take a tour of the garden with me today. It didn't take us long after we moved here to realize that this prime site in front of the house was someplace that we were going to be looking at a lot and spending time in. And we thought it's a natural depression, so rather than bringing in a lot of soil and trying to create beds and borders, we decided to build this wildlife pond. And as you can see, it's quite large, and all of the wildlife books that we had read said the larger you can build it, the better, because then you can create the widest array of diverse edges and planting depths for water plants. As you can see, it's turned out quite nicely. This is 7 years after we built it. The pond is 85 feet by 45 feet, and it is a single rubber liner that's laid on top of landscape fabric. It weighed 1,500 pounds when we brought it in. 4 people had to lift it to put it into place. And then I put a foot of soil on top of the liner so that I would be able to plant water plants directly into the soil, because with a pond this size, there was no way that I wanted to be going in seasonally, potting things up and removing them. So finding the right balance of plants that weren't too invasive was a key factor in my planting design for the pond. So it's really true, the old adage about if you build it, they will come, because we took a class through the Department of Natural Resources on wildlife gardening, and a big emphasis on providing water for all wildlife. As soon as the pond went in and the plants started to fill in, not only did we have frogs and salamanders, but many species of birds were drawn to the pond. Our waterfall has this gurgling effect, and that draws birds in. It's just been a huge magnet for wildlife and provides another element of meeting the basic needs of wildlife in the garden. Birds and other species prefer different areas to nest and find food and forage, and some prefer the canopies, some prefer the shrub layer, and some prefer ground cover layers. And so we've tried to duplicate that in our design patterns. Luckily, that whole thing of canopy, shrub, and ground cover is also very pleasing to the eye. Your eye wants to go from ground to be pulled up higher. In thinking about my plant choices, my top of the list are always natives, not only for their maintenance issues or lack thereof, but also because in terms of wildlife gardening, the native plants evolved with native wildlife, so it's a natural fit. It's what the birds and bees and butterflies have come to expect. And it doesn't mean you have to be a purist or rigidly attached to only natives. And you'll see in the garden that there's quite a mix of natives with non-natives. Probably one of my most favorite examples of the complementary use of natives and non-natives is with the Mahonias, the Oregon grapes. We have a native Oregon grape called Mahonia aquifolium. It's a wonderful plant. It's very wildlife friendly. Birds love the berries. In February it blossoms out. Nectar is great for overwintering hummingbirds, but it doesn't bloom until February. The Asian Mahonias, which you'll see behind me, this is Mahonia media Lionel Fortescue, starts blooming in November at a time when hardly anything else is blooming, and the hummingbirds just flock to it. And it will bloom all the way until the native Mahonias pick up. Together they provide a continuous source of nectar for the overwintering hummingbirds. Plus they're just beautiful structurally. Thanks so much for coming and visiting the garden today. I hope you'll think about ways that you can make your garden more wildlife friendly. It doesn't have to be a big pond. A small bird bath in your vegetable garden or in the middle of your garden will make a lot of tired, thirsty, dirty birds very happy. So happy gardening, and here's to the wildlife.